welcome back to Law Unfiltered. So today we are going to talk about another interesting topic. As you can see from the title, it's how long exactly can the police detain you? I hope nobody needs to go through this situation, but if you are going through or you know anyone is going through, I hope this episode helps you out. And of course, today I have a special guest with me, Sachi. Thank you for coming.
No problem. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Yeah. So, do you want to intro yourself?
Yes, I'm Sachi. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing for about close to 11 years now. I do mainly criminal employment matters and a bit of criminal matters as well.
Right. So, now, just imagine this, okay? You getting arrested by the police, okay? And then usually 24 hours by then you have to be brought to the court, because they might want to further detain you because they want to carry out investigation and all that. But after that, it just keep extending and extending again and again. And at what situation does this detention become unlawful? Like these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And what can you do about it? Can you come out? Can you claim for damages for wrongful detention? For no reason detaining you. So actually before this, right, I talked to another guest, Miguel, in episode 4, if I'm not mistaken, about our rights to liberty, which is the fundamental rights protected under the federal constitution itself. So I'm insert the clip here right now. An intrusive search.
I will come to that.
Under the law itself, the police can only detain you for 24 hours. Maybe people think that arrest only happens when handcuffs come into the picture.
He has a right, to be represented. You already.
Okay, so today's topic essentially is about what happens if we keep getting detained by the police. So let's talk about the basic first. Okay, Section 117 of the Criminal Procedure Code essentially allows for police to detain us for only a certain period of time. If they want to extend, then you need to you need to apply to the court under Section 119. You have to give the court your police diary, the investigation. Is there anything to actually investigate? Because again, being detained means, you have no right to liberty, right? So now at what point does it become unlawful, Like that's kind of a situation here. And there's actually a very, very famous case for all criminal lawyers we all know is a case of Hassan Marsom, right? Let's talk about that case.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, thank you for having me today. Now, Hassan Marsom, if I could recall the facts, was basically a remand under 117.
Yeah.
You're right. Was a remand under 117. But, in the course, of the remand period, the, plaintiff was, beaten up. Right. So was beaten up. He suffered, physical injuries and, pursuant to that, he actually filed a civil suit. Now, of course, he was saying the initial arrest itself was unlawful because they had no grounds. The police had no grounds to arrest him. That is number one. Notwithstanding, the police went on and got a remand. And in the course of the remand period, they abused him. They physically, injured him. And that was his second grounds, for the civil suit that, he had suffered. He was beaten up. Basically, he was beaten up. So, it went all the way to federal court. And I think if my memory serves me right, the federal court held that, 117, is the legal provision, where the police can rely on, when it comes to remand. And because there was a remand order, in normal circumstances, when there's a valid remand order, then there wouldn't be a case for false imprisonment. But in Hassan Marsom's case, federal court said yes, but in that case, because he was beaten up, he was severely beaten up, that rendered his detention unlawful. So the court went on to award not only general damages, but I think the federal court actually went on to award exemplary and also aggravated damages.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, I'm not sure. If I remember correctly, another point was also that, other than the fact that he was beaten up, treated so, without dignity, I would say.
Yeah.
The other issue was also because they wanted to, extend the detention, right? And if you want to extend the detention, you have to show the court on what grounds. Okay, maybe you want to investigate something. And of course, in the course of investigation, you don't want this person to run away, right? I mean, the police job is actually not that easy also lah, right?
Yeah.
So when you want to ask for additional time to detain him, so you need to show the police diary again. Okay, look, see, I have something real here. Like I need to investigate. I need a detention to be extended again.
Yeah.
But what if even if the court allows it, right? It doesn't mean that it is lawful. I mean, with all due respect, courts can make mistakes too. We are all humans, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we appeal, right? And in that particular matter, I think because the court said that, look, there was actually nothing real for you to investigate in the first place when checking out the police diary.
Yeah.
So the detention eventually became unlawful at the time when they wanted to extend it again.
Yeah. I think what you're referring to is when the police apply for remand, there has to be a nexus.
Yeah.
Nexus means, I think, the connection between the person
crime
who's
and the
arrested
person.
and the crime that the police is investigating.
Yeah.
So that has to be
Established
first, nexus. And I think in Hassan Marsom's case, that was missing. So again, the federal court went on to say that, I think amongst others, that was one of the grounds, reasons why the federal court upheld that, the detention was
unlawful.
turned into an unlawful one.
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from this, right, because this is the general part of how a person can be detained. But a lot of people don't know is you can be detained for a very long time. 1 year, 2 years, indefinitely. It sounds a bit, crazy. Initially, when I came across it, I also think it's crazy. Like, what? Indefinite time. Okay. Now, this is preventive detention. We have a few law only allows this. For example, I cannot remember the long full name, but it's LLPK, which is involving drugs, right?
Yeah.
So under this particular act, right, the police can detain you for indefinite time. But how long? Or what are the procedures to allow for this detention? Again, you cannot just simply detain someone. Again, we have fundamental rights protected under the federal constitution. Like, if you want to detain someone, like, for indefinite time, there is a very strict procedure that you have to follow. Okay. If you don't follow, eventually the detention will become unlawful. And I think so many times already this thing happened, right?
Yeah.
I think in one of the cases, the scenario is exactly like this. The person was detained initially under another act because he was found to have drugs in his system. Okay, after they investigated, blah blah blah, he was released on the same day. Then he was arrested again for another act, which is the LLPK, if I'm not wrong, like it's in English and VM, sorry. Okay. So he was detained, for a very, very long time. Okay. Again, last time in episode 4, we also mentioned before, a person can be rearrested again and again
This remand can be taken out of control is what we call chain remand, or they call it a roadshow. So they will take a person, they will apply for remand at one court, and then when he's released, they will arrest him straight away, take him to another court. And then they will release him and take him to another court. I had one case.
In certain situation, I mean, the police can be quite, what's the right word? Can be quite,
Cunning, I would say.
Yeah, perhaps, yes. Okay. So, why is it unlawful in this case? It's because the court found that, look, this person was detained, okay, but you didn't follow the procedure. In the particular act, the procedure is you have to consider the report, okay, conducted by the police, if I'm not wrong, okay, but you have to take everything as a whole before you decide whether this person falls under this act, which allows you to detain the person for an indefinite time. And because that particular procedure was not followed, the whole entire detention became unlawful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think you're referring to the Vinod Kumar's decision.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, in ordinary criminal matters, criminal cases, the remand is under 117 for maximum period of 14 days.
Yeah.
But in cases which you've just mentioned, which is Vinod Kumar, he was
Long time.
he was rearrested under LLPK provision. LLPK refers to Langkah-Langkah Pencegahan Khas.
Yeah.
Now, when that law is invoked, it is now that's one of the preventive detention laws in this country. Now, when LLPK was invoked, essentially what it meant was a person can be arrested, kept in remand for 60 days. Now, within that 60 days, there will be a report submitted by the police officer to an inquiry officer, and then from the inquiry officer to the minister. Now, so there are two reports here. Now, on receipt of on receipt of both reports, the minister then has the discretion, the power to
extend,
detain that person for a further period of 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, why this is important is because all this detention up to 2 years can be done without charging the person in court.
Yeah.
And this is crucial because that person now can be, detained for 2 years without possibility of being allowed bail. So when you don't charge a person in court, that person then loses
the right to liberty,
the right to
life,
apply for bail. Right?
Everything lah.
Yeah.
In the person's sense, is everything really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine if you're just being, if you're charged, it's actually good news. You can at least apply for bail.
You know what is against you.
Exactly. So imagine you are just being detained for 2 years, and this period of detention of 2 years can actually be renewed. So
that's why I say indefinitely.
Yeah. So it can be renewed. And imagine if it just gets renewed and you don't have your day in court. So that's why there's a lot of noise around this preventive detention. And there are similar provisions in POCA.
Yeah.
But of course, POCA Section 4 has since been declared unconstitutional. So you don't really hear cases of POCA these days. But LLPK is still there. SOSMA is still there. Again, SOSMA is where you can cap for remand under 28 days. But the difference in SOSMA is usually what happens is they will charge a person. But the problem with SOSMA is you can't get bail. So bail becomes impossible.
All of this impossible already. Yeah.
So bail becomes impossible. So there are the similarities, I think, between POCA and LLPK, for instance, is liberty is involved.
Yeah.
So you lose your chance to actually
get heard before the court.
Out and build your defense with your lawyers.
Yeah.
So because obviously there's a presumption of, innocent to proven
correct.
guilty.
Yeah.
These two statutes, LLPK, SOSMA, seems to
deny that.
Yeah, exactly. Deny that and seems to punish first and then, you deal with your case
your innocence, yeah.
So that's where I think there's a lot of noise, rightfully so.
Yeah. Until you get it, you will understand.
Yeah. So like in Vinod Kumar's case, I think, because he was detained for 2 years, there was a ministerial order for him to be detained under 2 years.
Yeah.
But when he filed a habeas corpus, and then the High Court allowed the habeas corpus because the minister actually failed to consider the two reports. Remember, I was talking about two reports,
the report,
right? Yeah. So the minister failed to consider these reports, and the High Court allowed the habeas corpus, and then he used that as a one of his grounds to file a separate
suit against the
mount
government.
A separate civil suit for false imprisonment, which was allowed to
for damages.
Yeah. And he got it. He got the damages as well.
Yeah. So I think that's what, like, the next part we're going on to is that what happens when, you're unlawfully detained for like a long ass time, right? For no reason. And yes, you can firstly file the habeas corpus, which is to get you out first. Okay. To say that this detention is unlawful, get out now. And then, secondly, then you file a lawsuit against, you can file a lawsuit against the government and then the police, Ketua Police, to get your damages. But just because, right, you got your habeas corpus application allowed, you are out, doesn't actually mean that this is base for you to definitely get damages already.
Yeah.
It's still a separate matter, I would say. Your different principles apply. You still have to prove your case for if you want to get claims.
Yeah.
Many times we've said if you want to file a civil suit or anything, it really depends on like the evidence you have, the documents for you to prove that you are entitled to this amount of money. I think you have done, so the reason why I call Sachi here, which is actually my ex-colleague, my partner in the other firm previously. So, yeah, you did the Sri Sanjeevan case, right?
Yeah. And of course I did it with, Prakash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think, that's interesting because, in his case, we filed at habeas corpus first, which was allowed.
Yeah.
But the High Court allowed it on I would say close to technicalities on those grounds. But be that as it may, the habeas corpus was allowed and premised on that. Amongst others, we also premised it on purely the habeas corpus. We filed a separate civil suit for damages. It went up all the way to federal court, but I think the federal court decided that
against you.
It didn't quite go in our favor.
Yeah.
And but interestingly, what the federal court observed was essentially this is what they said. Look, now we know there's a habeas corpus decision in your favor, but that doesn't automatically equate to false imprisonment.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Right? You still have to establish the elements of false imprisonment separately. Right? So, I think so that was the primary view of the federal court. So, I think you can use in the event you get a habeas corpus decision in your favor, I think it is good. In the event that you want to mount a separate civil suit for damages, you can do that, but it cannot be the sole basis. It has to be accompanied, supported by other documents, evidence. And also you have to establish the elements of false imprisonment separately.
Yeah.
So that is what transpired in Sanjeevan's matter, and of course, ultimately it didn't quite go in our favor.
But I think that was because of other technical issues.
Of course, there were other considerations as well, but I think as far as the law is concerned,
the principle is still the same. Still applies.
This is what the federal court said.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting case.
It was
took a long time.
Definitely.
How long did it take?
I can't recall. I think the habeas corpus was filed in 2016, 17, if I recall. I really can't remember. And, the civil suit was filed after that. I think the federal court decided.
The whole thing took like years.
2 years ago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Yeah, see? Exactly. Like, this is one of the, issue, I think. It's quite a common issue where things takes time. You are already detained unlawfully. The person may be going crazy already in detention,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very real problem. Like, when you hear your client saying like, I'm going crazy right now. I need to get out of here. It suddenly becomes very real to you. And then after that, on top of all that, you file a habeas corpus, which is going to take time, probably 1 year. Right, 1 year.
Yeah, but I think to be fair, habeas corpus applications are heard quite
very fast already lah.
Yeah,
but still, I think
promptly because of the urgent. Because, like you said, it involves liberty and so on. So the High Court usually fixes an early hearing date. But you're looking at, in any event, few weeks with certificate of urgency, probably close to 10 days. But that's habeas corpus. Civil suit, take years to be disposed of.
Exactly.
But that's just how
so many things to file and prepare.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about how much our freedom is worth. Let's just say, you get detained and then, okay, you're out, you're very angry. File a suit against government. You know why you can file a suit against government? Because of vicarious liability. Okay, we will talk about that on another episode. Okay, and then you file against the Ketua Polis Negara, you file against the particular police officer. Okay, and then how much can you get?
Well, I think it depends on a lot of factors. Number one, whether you are physically abused, because unlawful detention can be simply unlawful detention. For instance, you're not informed as to your grounds of arrest, and so on. But if there's, in addition to those, if there are physical injuries inflicted, and also the length of the detention, if I think in Hassan Marsom's case was I can't remember, but was it 16 days or so?
So the shot,
I can't recall. I can
recall.
Yeah,
that.
so
But I know Vinod was like 200 plus days.
Yeah, so in Vinod's case, obviously it's much longer,
Yeah.
so the amount of damages will be higher.
I think 2,000 per day.
Yeah,
I remember
so-
it's 2,000 per day. I read it somewhere.
Yeah, so imagine for a year, almost close to a year.
Yeah.
And in Hassan Marsom, I think the cost
50,000.
50,000, is it?
50,000 general damages.
General damages.
And then exemplary damages.
This was
So,
in
the Muhammad Hadi and Hassan Marsom case.
Yeah, all right. So because general damages, exemplary, and
It really depends on the court.
exactly
Yeah.
subjective.
Yes.
A lot of factors are involved.
Yeah.
But if you are going to ask me how much exactly, no lawyers out there can
Can
tell
give you an answer.
right? And I'm certain of that. But what I can say is there's a lot of factors, considerations, and length of detention and so on.
Yeah. Would you say that, also like how severely terrible the police acted? Because exemplary is kind of like punitive, right?
Yes.
Try to tell this police like, look, this act that you are doing, we are not agreeable and we don't like it. This is not right. So I'm going to, in a way, kind of like punish you.
Yeah.
So if the more terrible the police acted in a way like really abusive or whatnot, then the exemplary damages would definitely be way higher. But
Yes.
how high, we don't know lah.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, because in any arrest, any criminal investigation, the police must have reasonable suspicion that you're involved. So if you can't just go around simply arresting people without any,
correct. Exactly.
reason. So
Yeah.
if the police really has no reason and then goes on to arrest and detain someone,
But that's very bad.
obviously these are
bad
oppressive
actions.
conducts,
Yeah,
that
correct.
warrants exemplary damages.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, again in Vinod Kumar, I think it was so bad. It was 200 plus days of unlawful detention, almost 1 year actually. So they have 132,000 aggravated and exemplary damages. And 2,000 per day for the unlawful detention. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
That's a lot of money and it's a lot of suffering as well. So,
yes. That's how much your freedom is worth. Now you got your answer, right? Now, okay, let's talk about practicality lah, okay? Like, let's just say one of your family member now got arrested, detained under one of these preventive detention, acts and whatnot, like LLPK, or SOSMA. What can the family do? Let's just say if the family come to you and, what are you gonna do?
I think, I don't know, as a lawyer, you would firstly see, what provision they are arrested and detained for. And if they are detained under SOSMA or LLPK, I think the best is to,
Find out what they did wrong.
manage their expectations, family members' expectation, and tell them, look, this is going to be a long, hard battle.
Yeah.
And then you start to do your groundwork, you deal with the investigating officer, and you see what can be done. Because there are some instances where, despite it being an LLPK arrest, we have written in to the police officer seeking, giving documents, evidence to say that, that person, our client, is not involved. He was somewhere else, and other supporting documents to show that he's not the man that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then, and then we've got clients released subsequent to following our letters, representation, so on. So it has happened before, but I think important to manage clients' expectations because I know when family members are involved, obviously they're
already in tears already.
That's true. And also they want, obviously, exactly. They want quick resolution. They want their, family members to be out as soon as possible.
That's
sometimes
understandable.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But you manage the expectations, and at the same time, you have to do some groundwork, get some documents to show how you can
find out where they go wrong.
Yeah, establish innocence.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, and that's what I've done in the past. Yeah. It has worked before, and sometimes it doesn't really go in your way. That's just how it is.
It did not go in my way. In fact, my client was going really, that's when I realized, okay, this is a very real situation. I think at the time I was in pupillage when I came across this file, and then like this guy was caught under LLPK. The family member is going crazy because he has been detained for so long and they don't know what's going on. There's no charges, there's no evidence, no document, no nothing. And then the client is also, obviously I understand, how can a person be detained for so long? Anyone can go crazy. I understand that. So yeah, I think you're right. Like, you have to manage your client's expectations.
Yeah.
Right. So, but on the other hand, look, I'm not saying that, this episode is not trying to tell everyone that police is terrible. Okay. The reason why there is this kind of, act is also because it's rampant, especially drugs. It's very rampant. Like, you cannot wait for something to happen already, then only you catch the guy. In some situation, they want to prevent this thing from happening. So what they try to do something. Okay, which from another angle we can understand. But then we are just doing our job and say that no, this is not the guy that you are looking for. Like, please release him and carry out your investigation properly, like, without detaining him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We also are not trying to tell you like, hey, look, I know my rights. You cannot arrest me like that. You go out and scream my right to liberty to the police when the police come up to you, No, you just tell them, look, okay, what am I being arrested for? Okay, if you don't want to tell me, okay, that is something for you to fight.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, there has to be a balance.
Yeah, there has to be a balance.
I know the police are there to maintain order,
Yeah.
national security, and majority of them are, they're
Doing
their
their job. Yeah.
Of course, there are bad apples. There are bad apples in every profession, but at the end of the day, I think majority of them are doing their job. But there has to be a balance, and I think us lawyers and citizens are like, we are just there to make sure there's no abuse of
Correct.
power.
Correct.
Like I said earlier in the show, that there are cunning police officers, but majority of them are there. They're doing their job, and it's our job as lawyers, and also to
make sure there's a check and balance.
Absolutely, and also that's why the courts are there.
Yeah,
as
also
well.
true. Yeah. So, anyways, I hope this second part of your rights episode, is helpful. Okay, and I think we've reached an end to our conversation.
Thank you, Celine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me once again. It's been a pleasure.
No worries. I enjoy our conversation. It was nice and fun. A lot of people don't know about all these things. I hope this episode has helped out any one of you out there. If you're going through this sort of situation, consult a lawyer and get some legal advice. At least you know what to do, and don't keep quiet about it. Okay? Bye-bye. See you guys on the next one.
See you.